So we've got a special guest here in the studio. It's 94.9 News Now and Stimulating They Talk, and I screwed up his name a couple of different times. But listen, I mean, it's long. It's got a lot of letters. So technically, I'm going to excuse myself. Welintukonis, Micah. Did I say it right?
Yes, sir, you did.
Yes! All right. So you are running for governor, right, sir?
Correct, sir.
All right, let me get a little background on you. So first we met at the grassroots seats there, just for a couple minutes. And you stood up and you announced that you were running for governor, or you're throwing your hat in the ring to run for governor, which, again, I think is going to be a pretty crowded field by the time it all gets said and done. But let's get a little background on you, because you got a pretty impressive background. Tell everybody, if you can, a little bit about you.
So back in 1994, I joined the U.S. Army, was active duty until August 2001. Joined the Connecticut National Guard, started going to college. 9/11 happened. I was activated for some homeland security stuff. Went to Iraq, took a break in service, came back in, deployed to Afghanistan in 2012, and there I was shot and took a direct hit from a suicide bomber that put me in a coma for 2 weeks.
I see you showed me the scar. Basically, it runs runs your entire stomach all the way up to your chest. It's unbelievable. So, I mean, if you can, I don't know how much detail you want to go into, but thank you for your service. But if you can give a little background on that, what happened?
So we were living with the Afghan military, or Afghanistan military, I should say, and the base came under attack. I believe there were 7 suicide bombers that day. And in an attempt to rescue some comrades, I was shot, and then later took the brunt of a suicide bomber.
Man. Unbelievable. All right, so how many years did you serve in the military?
18 years active.
Okay. Well, again, thank you very much for your service and your sacrifice, because you can obviously, I can see it's immense. So, all right, but you were up and around. You're in you're good health now, correct?
Yeah, I'm in pain some days, but who isn't?
Yeah. All right, and where did you live? Where'd you grow up? What area in Connecticut?
So I grew up in Windsor, Connecticut, and now I reside in Coventry with my amazing, beautiful wife, Camilla.
Okay.
And our kids.
All right, and you decided to throw your hat in the gubernatorial ring. Was it more out of anger, disgust at the current administration, or do you feel like you have, or maybe it's both, you feel you have something extra to offer?
It's a little bit of both, to be honest. And I had actually decided a couple years ago, and then right before the new year, that's when I filed at the state election enforcement agency. And
you were telling me off the air you had a couple of small political appointments, if you will, or roles, but this is really your first go around in an elected office, correct?
Yeah, I was vice chair of my town council, and then I spent a year as the director of legislative affairs for a state veterans group.
Right. All right. Well, listen, if there are folks out there who want to, ask a couple of questions here of Welintukonis, you're welcome to call in 860-464-9490, 631-317-1949. And you were saying off the air you're going to release your platform tomorrow?
Yeah, my platform will be online tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a public Q&A. It's a free event. The title of it is Connecticut's Model for Success. I will be the first candidate to release a platform. And even before this, I haven't been accepting donations. I believe that's putting the cart before the horse.
Okay, and so you've gotten nothing so far, right? Nothing at all. You asked for no money, nothing.
Somebody snuck in $100, but yes, I haven't.
How dare they?
I know. I haven't been going around asking for money at all. Right. I don't believe in that.
I want to make sure I get this right. It's Micah Welintukonis, and I've been doing it in reverse, but it's and your website is Micah with the number 4ct.com. I want everybody to know that too, and I'll try to post that up on our Facebook page so folks can link to it. All right, what's your biggest issue then? What's your biggest beef? Let's start there.
Well, Jesus, my biggest beef is probably with Governor Malloy.
You told me he lied to your face twice. Tell everybody.
Yes, he did lie to my face twice. Once when I was an elected official, and the other time when I was in military dress uniforms. And the guy he's just up to no good,
Right.
as we all know and can clearly see.
All right, well, give me some of your platform. Talk to me a little bit about what you would want to change. There's things here in Connecticut. You're talking about tax structure. We're last in just about every single list. What exactly would you want to do to get in there and try to shuffle that up?
Well, just on a side note, one of the things I am going to do, I am going to ban Dan Malloy.
Where are you going to put him? Where are you going to send him? Exile him to where?
I don't know. I mean, maybe wherever he resides, maybe we'll just build a wall around his house.
There you go.
Or if I can't do that, then I'm going to tax the living crap out of him.
My guess is that if he loses, he'll be out of here pretty quick. I can't imagine he's going to stay here in Connecticut.
I hope so.
My guess. Well, let's talk about taxes. I mean, how are you going to lower them?
So, one of the ways, we look at Massachusetts, for example, and our taxes are a lot higher than Massachusetts. So my plan is to actually beat Massachusetts taxes. So we're going to go down to a 5-point income tax rate. Massachusetts is currently at 5.1 because one of the things that we need to do, we need to actually, we have not the Syrian refugees, we have the Connecticut refugees. Connecticut residents are fleeing from the state. We're losing so many Connecticut residents that we're losing $60 a second. So we got to keep people in this state. Right? So we lower the taxes. We also lower the sales tax. That's going to keep people in this state, and it's going to attract more people to come into our state.
As a former member of the military, obviously injured by a suicide bomber, how do you feel about the state being looked upon as a sanctuary state, as a place where anybody who has somehow gotten their way across the border to come? How does that make you feel?
Well, that's interesting because, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, as the old saying goes, and it's like, so why can't municipalities declare sanctuary from Governor Malloy's tax proposal? I believe there's a whole law-abiding process. If you don't like something, then you can petition Congress, you can petition the Senate. People had 8 years to change immigration laws under President Obama, but yet nothing was done. So if it was that big of a deal, and actually President Obama had deported millions of illegal immigrants, So under my plan, it's kind of a compromise with illegal immigrants. It's going to give them a chance and hopefully work with the federal government to, there are hardworking people in this state, and we have to recognize that. It's going to give them a chance to actually gain their citizenship. It's going to be under a time frame, and if they don't choose to abide by that, they really want to be here, and they don't choose to abide by it, then they're going to be gone. And it doesn't include any criminals with felonies, certain misdemeanors, anything with violent crimes and stuff like that.
Again, we're talking with Micah Welintukonis, and again, if you want to join us, 860-464-9490. All right, so we talked a little bit about you lowering taxes to be competitive with Massachusetts, getting maybe new businesses in here. What are you going to do? One of the biggest hurdles here in the state of Connecticut is this a bone-crushing, if you will, unfunded liabilities, the pension plans and all that. Now, Governor Malloy kicked the can down the road, way down the road. Again, maybe it won't even affect me. Maybe it won't even affect you. It'll probably affect your kids. But how would you handle that? Would you sit down face-to-face with the unions and say this is the way it's got to be? How would you handle that?
Well, everything needs to be looked at. I describe it as a pizza. So there's numerous slices to a pizza. So one slice of the pie is your lower sales tax. 2 is we actually have to tackle the state's chronic problem of promoting wasteful policies that yield little to zero results. So we're funneling all this money into the problems. Like, let's look at education, for example. What are we yielding from throwing millions and billions of dollars into education? Kids are still failing. So we're just throwing money into, we're basically flushing money down the toilet. So we have to address that. We have to address greater controls of being efficient in components of the government. For example, we have these hazard duty pays, right? People sit in an office and collect hazard duty. Well, I mean, what's really so hazardous
I know some.
about that? Paper cut? So there's money from there. Let's look at the Board of Regents.
Now, you're not talking about all hazard duty, right?
No. If you are literally earning your hazard duty, we're
you're
keeping
state cop
that.
out there on the road, you're good to go.
I got plenty of state trooper friends.
All right. I just want to make sure. Because I do know of what you speak. I do know people who have never left the office who do get hazard duty pay.
Exactly. Also, deputy commissioners. The Connecticut Department of Veteran Affairs functions perfectly without a deputy commissioner. So let's get rid of those. Wardens and corrections, they get a take-home car, but they have no lights and sirens to respond to any emergency with that take-home car. So all these, 1% here, 1% here, another percent here, 0.5% here, it all adds up. So we could take some of that money and put it right into these unfunded pensions. We don't have to take this money and throw it on the, Republican areas of towns and be like, hey, we're bearing the, you guys are going to have to bear the burden of this. For example, my town, my mill rate, just on Governor Malloy's actions, are going up 4 mills. The town next to me is going up another 4 mills. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's out of control. Like, you can't punish good, hard-working cities and towns for being what? Fiscally responsible?
We've got it happening all over the place. As a matter of fact, we've been talking. Groton has been the biggest hit. And I don't know if you know that. If Governor Malloy's plan were to go through, $14 million will be taken away from the taxpayers of the town of Groton. Again, we're talking with Micah Welintukonis this morning. He has thrown his hat officially in the ring for governor. He's actually got a get-together tomorrow. Is it a Q&A tomorrow? Is that and where is that again?
So it's going to be at the American Legion on West Street in Rockville, Connecticut at 3 o'clock.
Okay. You mentioned education. So would you be a spearheading a leader of a change in education? Would you be for getting rid of Common Core or some of the other things in the education process? You talk about education and it costing a bunch of money and not really getting anything done. How would you fix that?
My wife and I, we look at Common Core. The kids come home with homework and we're like, what in God's name is this? I think we both get headaches. Our kids get headaches from trying to figure this issue out. So I think we need to get rid of Common Core. I mean, when you and I went to school, I'm 40 years old. I don't know how
I'm older than you. Yeah, I went to school. It was a little bit less color TV when I went to school. So.
Our generation, though, in education, we landed on the moon.
Yeah, sure. But at least they say we did. There are some folks out there who may say different, but yes.
I mean, so let's go back to that type of education where kids actually learn. I mean, we accomplished great things with that.
Okay. All right. I wanted to ask you, too, because we only have about 5 minutes left or so. And again, this morning we're talking with Micah Welintukonis, who's throwing his hat in the gubernatorial ring. And again, I'll get to this before we go, is there's going to be a lot of other folks in that. And, I'll ask you this now while I'm on the subject before I get to the last subject. So there's going to be a number of other folks who are going to be involved from the Republican side for a lot of different reasons. And the main reason may be because that they see that Malloy is infinitely beatable. If he wins again, we may have to just burn the place to the ground and start over. Because I can't imagine pulling the lever for him. But you're going to have a lot of competition, right? So in your mind, you're talking about, I don't want to say names because a lot of folks aren't officially in the race yet. But there are going to be a lot of guys on that side and maybe a couple of gals that you're going to have to deal with. Aside from your military background, which definitely distinguishes you, because I don't think any other ones. There's a couple that may have some, but not like yours. What is going to separate you from the rest?
So one of the things, Lee, is nobody is more passionate about changing the state than I. Like, I have literally spilled blood for the citizens of Connecticut and the United States. And I didn't fight for this. Like, I didn't fight for good, honest, hardworking people. I don't even know. I could swear, but, just to get messed over like this. I mean, it's truly sad what is going on with our government, and I'm just frankly sick and tired of it. I'm fed up for it, and I want to take more of a bipartisan approach. Just because, Lee, you might have different views than me, but it doesn't mean that you and I can't find some sort of compromise.
Sure.
To actually move our state forward and get this burden off the backs of our kids and our grandkids. So nobody is more passionate than I. And I'm not going to do this political appointment thing. I don't believe in that. I believe in teamwork. Like, I'm the only candidate. I already have Democrats on my teams that voted for Hillary. Doesn't mean we agree 100%, but at least we're attempting to find compromise. And I'm not going to surround myself by a bunch of yes men, so to speak. If you disagree with me, tell me you disagree with me. Let's work this out. Let's move forward.
Okay. We got about 5 minutes left, and I see our lines are jammed up, and I want to try to grab a couple of calls if we have time. But how tough would you be on crime? I mean, would you be for the early release program that Malloy is so confidently and glowing about when he talks about it? Would you be for that, against that?
Malloy is correct on this, okay, because he has lowered crime statistics. But how he's done it? Well, if you decriminalize stuff, well, hey, look at our crime rates. They've gone down. It's one of his, hey, let's look this way when we should be looking forward.
Well, it's the same idea if you have 1,000 cops or 1,000 state cops out there in 2010 and you only have 800 now. Well, guess what? There's less cops to catch the criminals, so the crime just artificially goes down.
Right, but then we look at, post Sandy Hook, the tragic event of that and the, well-praised gun laws. Well, in 2014, Connecticut had 3 cities in the top 100 most dangerous. A year after that, 2015, we gained another city, up to 4 cities. So how effective are Malloy's gun laws?
Well, let me ask you, that's a good question, because I know a lot of folks out there are on board with that. Where do you stand on the gun legislation?
On the gun legislation?
Well, I mean, the new gun legislation banning, the amount of cartridge bullets, magazine, the number of all that.
I have to ask a question with the question.
Sure.
So where did the number 10 come up from?
The magic number.
Where did it come from?
Thin air. It's a thin air number.
And then
10's okay, but 11's bad.
Yeah, but you can have one in your chamber, so therefore you have 11.
There you go.
And then there's an estimated 200,000 unregistered ARs in Connecticut. Hey, Malloy, when are you going to go after that?
Right.
Huh?
Well, he went after, I think he's gone after enough. Let me grab a couple of calls. I'm not really sure. I don't know who's on line 1. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Ken from Essex.
Ken, how are you?
Hey, Ken.
Good. I'd like to ask a question because I was born in Connecticut, love to stay in Connecticut, can't afford to when I retire because they tax Social Security. I'd like to know what he plans on doing about that.
It was Ken, sir?
Yes.
On the air.
Yes, Ken.
Hey, Ken, good morning. How are you?
I am fine, sir.
So one of the things I want to do for people on fixed incomes, particularly retirees, is lower some of the fees so you get free driver's license and stuff like that, because I believe, it's important for my kids and your kids to have their grandparents around. Like, you shouldn't have to go all the way to Florida. So that's how I want to combat that, is by lowering a bunch of fees for people on fixed incomes.
And what about Social Security tax?
Social Security tax.
Well, what do you think we should do with Social Security tax?
I don't think there should be any on retirees.
I'll take that in consideration.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, Ken, thank you. Time for one more call, and we'll run out of time. Good morning. Who's this? You're on the air with Micah Welintukonis.
Hey, good morning. This is Brant, North Stonington.
What's up, Brant?
Hey, first, I'm just now hearing about you on the radio, so I'm just kind of curious. I like a lot of what you're saying.
Thank you.
How do you see yourself working with the Donald Trump organization and presidency if you become the governor? And are you willing to say how you voted in the presidency? I'll just hang up and listen to you.
Okay. Donald Trump being the president, you just said you voted for Hillary. You wouldn't be happy about that. How'd you make amends there?
Well, to be honest, I kind of picked the lesser of two evils in my mind, and I did vote for President Trump. Now, that doesn't mean that I agree with everything that, 100% that Donald Trump is saying or doing. I didn't particularly like his education pick, but, I'm a married guy, and my wife and I, we don't always agree either and see eye to eye, but we try and move forward and make things work. And I think that regardless of which president is elected, I think every governor needs to establish some sort of working relationship to better the country and the state.
Well, listen, it was my pleasure getting a chance to meet you again. I can't thank you enough for your service.
Thank you.
Here's the deal. I mean, I know you're sort of throwing your hat officially in the ring. It's in the ring, but tomorrow you got a big sort of opening for your platform. So down the road, we'll get you back in here, and eventually, I'd like to get this room filled with whatever Republican candidates are gonna run. If there's 3 or 4 of you, and we can do a couple-hour debate on the air. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I'm sure you'd be agreeable to that.
Yeah.
Am I correct? All right, good.
Correct.
Well, listen, it was good to meet you
Thank you,
officially,
Lee.
and I appreciate it.
Appreciate
and drive
it.
slow in the snow because I know it's nasty out there. It's getting nasty anyway.
God bless.
All right, well, really, before you go, your website, so folks can go to it.
So
again.
it's Micah, MICAH, the number 4, CT.com.
All right, my friend, good meeting you. All right, we got to run.